What's going on, Andy? Dave? Man, how is everybody? It's been a minute. What's up, Avenging Night? Pee Wee? Ryan? Man, how's everybody been? I'm sure now getting. What's up, Legion? Now getting to the end of the season. And what's up, Thomas? And hope everybody's doing good. We're inside. Yeah, it's been a couple minutes. That's right. We're at MD Anderson right now, and I'm sitting in one of the kind of a snack room, and stuff. Her room is somewhere over there. But anyways, how you doing, brother? Missing you, brother. Doctor's appointment with my 7-year-old. Hey, Andy. I hope he's doing okay, man. What's going on with your little boy? Well, I just got home from the doctor's appointment with my seven. Oh yeah, 7-year-old. Yeah. Hope he's doing all right, buddy. Um, all right. So to catch you guys up to speed, because I haven't talked to you guys in like a long time. Um, so okay. So this Saturday, Danielle should be able to come home for this visit. When Saturday gets here, it'll be about 20 days that she's been in the hospital. When she was in, he's good. There's a lot of checkups and figuring things out. Another cert. Well, that's good, man. Well, hopefully he continues on, you know, getting good checkups and nothing major serious. I know sometimes kiddos can catch what other kiddos have, and then they get a bad virus or an infection or something, and hopefully that doesn't happen. Keeps them good to go. So, but so Danielle, I checked her out, or I didn't check her out. She discharged on like a Sunday, yeah, last month, and then we came back Monday for her follow up with her regular doctor, which normally she comes to see Doctor Weirda every 2 days. They do blood work, they do the test, make sure your blood is good, and if you need transfusions or anything like that. And so when we came that next day, she had 103. So they had to readmit her back in the hospital. He's having surgeries to have his tonsils and adenoids removed. Ouch, man. Well, I think that youngster will get to have a lot of ice cream, right? Getting his tonsils taken out. I think that's what you can have as ice cream or something like that. What's up, Barnes? Thank you, Andy. I appreciate that too, buddy. I really do, man. Um, so before that Monday, she had been in here like almost 2 weeks, and for the same thing, real low um, blood work. I don't know if it was um, potassium or one of her blood counts or something. And what's up, money making Mike G? And so 24 hours, we're right back in it, right? She's having a lot of pain in her back. Now, the pain in her back has been there since February when she was diagnosed with the leukemia, which runs starts at where the bone marrow is for her. And but anyway, so uh, they got her in one of the side rooms from where that little area where she sees her doctor for regular visits. And a lot of pain, a lot of fever. Fever was like 103. And so that doctor that was over that little clinic area for that shift came in, Dr. Bose. We've seen him before. And he had one of his other doctors with him, or maybe it was the PA. It was probably the PA. And anyway, so they came in. Now, she was due for a bone marrow biopsy, which is generally every month, every 21 days or so, uh, the week after that. But normally, when the pain is real intense, um, that's when the cancer is real present. That's when the blast is at a higher count. The blast is what they find in your bone marrow. That's kind of now. There's a lot of things that make up the blast, but it's predominantly the cancer. So if it, like her reading was 79%. So if it's 79%, 79% of her blood has cancer in it. So when that blast is high, generally at the end of a chemo cycle, we know a lot of her pain is from that. And so with the previous several months, because we've been dealing with it since February, we already knew that, okay, we know what the pain is from. Anyways, So the doctor come in and says, well, all right, we're going to give her some pain medicine right away to help, get that down. And she wasn't very coherent. Well, she's a little coherent, but just kind of out of it. So much pain. And so, anyways, so I said, hey, man, we really need to do the bone marrow biopsy. We don't, let's not wait several more days. I think the regular biopsy was scheduled, I think 2 days later. I think is what it was now that I remember. And I said, I know it's the cancer that's come back, or is I mean, if you hadn't got rid of it yet. Money making Mike G, thank you, dude. You did not have to do that, but dude, I appreciate you, man. I'll have to let Danielle know. She's in the room with Grandma. I went and picked up Grandma this morning and brought her down here. Grandma lives. It was about a little over 2 hour round trip because so much traffic. But got her bring down. She doesn't really drive anymore. So, anyway, so here's something to help you now. I still want to talk to you, but absolute money, Mike. I appreciate you, dude. And you could text me or call me anytime. 979-492-1965. It's all the phone number and email is also in the About Us section on the channel. So, and I told the doctor, I said, hey, she's scheduled to have a bone marrow, in like 2 days, but can we do it today? That way, preliminary results will come tomorrow. We could be a day ahead of what we need to be doing. He goes, well, we can't sedate her because she was scheduled for sedation. Well, we can't sedate her with her having a fever, which is true. And I said, well, you can use Ativan, and that'll numb the area. And with her already on pain medicine, that should, make it okay. He says, actually, you can do that. And the only reason I knew that because we did that the very first time when she was admitted back in February. They gave her Ativan, plus she had already painkillers running through her system. And I sat there and watched the bone marrow biopsy take place. Dude, I almost fucking fainted. They have all these slides. They have like 16 slides, kind of like microscope slides, that you put drops of blood and stuff on. And they have these long needles, and then they have they first put the new one in, or the first one in, and they draw blood out, and they do the samples from that. Then they take this thicker needle. It's kind of like if you ever put a plug in a tire plug, that little T handle, that little rod. It's real thick. It's almost that thick. So they put that, they just jab that into her spine, and they're trying to pull out that spongy marrow. And anyway, so they pull it out, and then they do their test on that. All right, so when I told him you can use the Ativan, and he's like, dude, you're absolutely right. We could do that. So that other PA, the physician assistant, went and got what he needed. He got it approved, came back like 15 minutes later, did it himself, boom, sent it off. The next morning, I stayed the night. The next morning, we went right back in the same room that she checked out the day before. Um, and as he was pulling the marrow out, he goes, "Man, it's a dry pull. A dry pull means there's cancer present because your bone marrow should be spongy, right? Be a lot of liquid in there, spongy, and it wasn't. So I knew the blast count was going to be high. And so he, what's going on, Doug? And so they sent that off. So the next morning it was 79%. Dr. Bordiker, which I didn't care for him, but I think he's just real serious about his work. He's always looking like he's pissed off, but I think he's just real focused, really. Anyway, so the next day they come in, and I see all them, and they talk to you and the patient, and Danielle just was not feeling well. And so he said, we're going to start you on chemo. Okay, so we did all that. Now that this type of chemo, there's all kinds of variations because it's all different chemicals that mix together that make the chemo. Okay, um, and different products for different patients for different illnesses. And me and you could have the same diagnosis, but because our bodies are different, it would be a different chemo sometimes, or maybe all of the products are the same except maybe one product, whatever. But that's just how it is when you fight cancer. So they started the chemo right away. All right, so that took place. That type of chemo, out of all the chemo she's had, is a real heavy hitting chemo. So it wiped her out, dude. I mean, she was completely lethargic. She was non-coherent for 11 days. She was in and out. She'd be mumbling and be like that. And then morphine after morphine. They put her on the pump every 8 minutes. She could press the button, and psst, I think 2 cc's could come out. Um, and then after a while, they had to stop because every 8 minutes she was, hitting that, and she was not making sense when she was talking. When she was talking, so that then she wasn't eating at all, not a drop. A little bit of water here and there, a little bit of boost here and there. And anyway, so it was like that for almost a week, and a lot of pain. The pain is excruciating in her spine, her lower spine, and but the rest of her body was okay. But when that kind of pain, it just all hurts, right? So she's getting weak. She's lost 40 pounds in the last 30 days, and so she could barely stand up, barely walk. Uh, the chemo makes you like not want to eat at all, makes you not feel good. Sometimes your mouth hurts, mouth sores, all different kinds of things. Your emotions, your thinking gets all jacked up. And anyway, so for up to 11 days, and this was 11 days as of um, Saturday uh, was the 11th day, or Friday. Friday was the 11th day. Sorry, and so that day I brought the kids up. I woke up. We got four, so I woke. Well, we have five. I have my oldest one, but it was just the four live with us. I woke up Talon and Riley. It like I normally wake them up for school, and I said, "Hey guys, we're going to skip school today. I'm going to take you to see Mama." They hadn't seen Mama since she'd been in the hospital, so almost 2 weeks. And the two middle kids actually have a different. They are from Danielle's first husband, and he's a douchebag. And so he's been trying to take them since she's been sick, saying, "Oh, they need to be with their father, this and that." He's a fucking drug addict, been arrested before, drug addict, meth head. He's OD'd before in a bowling center. He's got no fucking teeth. He's just the worst dad you could possibly think of. I mean, he doesn't beat them or anything like that. I guess that's okay. But as far as like a positive structure, role model type of individual, that is fucking not him. And what's up, Rich? Keeping us per health. Greg, man, motto here. What's going on, Greg? Man, I appreciate you guys. And so, yeah, Barnes, it is, dude. And so, all right. So here it gets even more crazy. All right. So this weekend, now she was not eating at all. Her mom was staying with her for. Her mom was staying with her uh, several days last week because her dad couldn't help watch the kids because he had been sick for 2 weeks with upper respiratory infection. Luckily, the mowing season had slowed down where I could start taking off more time, and we save up a lot of money during the year so we don't have to work much in the wintertime. And so that definitely helps. Although I do love blowing money, but, we keep some aside for the wintertime. And so I had to watch the kids every single day, all day long, which I love to do. But at the same time, I'm not with Danielle either. So her mom took off quite a bit, and then finally I went up there to see her, and she wasn't eating, and so I'm like, okay. I brought my mom up there to see her. My mom was 3 hours away from Indiana, Anderson, 2 hours from our house. So my mom came to my house, and I brought her up here Sunday, and she really wanted to see her. Um, and anyways, my mom said, Kevin, she needs to eat. She's not eating. You need to make her eat. Like super encouraging. Baby, open your mouth. Spoon feed her, those types of things. So Saturday and Sunday, I fed her oatmeal in the morning. And she didn't eat a whole lot. It would be like, dude, we're talking like if you were to take like a teaspoon and you figure an eighth of that was a lot for her to do at one bite because, in your mind, you're not wanting to. In your mind, you're forcing yourself to eat, which you are, because your body absolutely does not want anything to eat. And when you're in her position, you don't want to do anything. You want to lay there in your pain with your eyes closed. When you open your eyes, you feel like everything is even worse. And laying in bed also works against you with a long period of time. So, anyway, she ate six after it was all done, after like 20 bites. It was equivalent to six good sized tablespoon bites. I was happy with that. That was more than what she had eaten the 11 days prior, the 10 days prior. And then, and that was her. That was breakfast, so that was like 11:30, 10 o'clock. And then dinner, we skipped lunch. She slept for 4 hours. And then, thanks for the update, brother. My family's prayer. Thank you, G Vela. I appreciate that. And um, uh, so for dinner, I got the chicken noodle soup because she can't do a lot of chewing. So both of those types of foods are pretty good for your body. The chicken noodle soup out of the four soups they have are pretty good. They had something called a Italian wedding cake. She told me what was in it. I was like, no thanks, buddy. And but the chicken noodle soup was good. You know, it was real soft. It had the chicken broth in there, so she could do some of that. So that was Saturday evening, and then she was out cold. Of course, I stayed with them the whole week. Stayed with her the whole weekend. And her mom had all four kids because it was our weekend to have the two older kids, and of course the two babies are her and I together. And so she kept it. And then come Monday, and or Sunday, my mom came, spent almost the whole day with her and I, and then I fed her some, and she didn't eat a whole lot, but she ate more for dinner than she did for breakfast. And Sunday evening, we had talked with her mom and said, "Hey, uh, you need to come uh, be with Danielle on Monday. I'll watch the. I'm gonna go work, but be with Danielle to help her eat, and then we have a babysitter coming in from the church to watch the kids in the morning, and then she could stay until 8:30 to 12:30, and then another friend of Danielle and I that we used to bowl with, who's been helping out a lot, can come from 10:30 to 2:45, and then I'll come home at 2:30, and then the rest of the day." So I called Wendy. Wendy said, "Okay, cool, that's her mom." And then come 8 o'clock Monday morning, I said, "Hey, are you on your way?" Now they live 1 mile from our house. Okay, and she says, "Oh I wanted to go to Talon. Talon's the middle daughter, and I wanted to go to her veterans event thing at school today." So I was really upset, but I didn't say anything. And because really, you should be at the hospital helping your daughter, eat. It's your only child to begin with, and not worried about some veteran school function. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, so I called her dad because he had been sick, but I don't know if he was well enough to come to the hospital because I was going to tell him, "Hey, double up on your medicine and let's go." Because I talked to him 2 days before and he was sounding rough, or no, he was sounding better, and I talked to him the day before that and he was sounding bad. So he said, "No, I'm back at work." And he says, which he didn't offer to leave, but he could. He's got FMLA out the wazoo, and he works for Montgomery County at 911 dispatch. And his boss, the sheriff, whatever, told him, "Hey man, you can leave anytime you want in the drop of a dime, in the middle of your shift. I don't care. You can go, bro. You're taken care of." Anyways, but he didn't, which not the end of the world, right? And so he says, "Man, you need to tell Wendy, well, you need to put your size 12 up Wendy's rear." And I said, "Yeah, she should be up at the hospital. Already we had agreed on that." And right now it's like about 8:10, and the babysitter will be there 8:30. And he said, "Well, Lucy is Danielle's stepmom, will be there at she's a veteran, will be there at the school to do the veterans thing with talent, so Wendy doesn't even need to be there." I said, "Okay." So I figured Robert would have told Lucy, "Hey, to tell Wendy, you need to deed him out up to the hospital." All right. So when that didn't go down like that, come 8:30, I said, "You know what? I'm just going to go straight back to the hospital. I can work later." I let all the customers know that I had that Sunday, that I was going to be there Monday. So I let them all know that, "Hey, I can't come today like I thought I could. Things change." And they all know what's going on. And they are all very nice. They said, "You know what, Kevin, you don't need to worry about it. If it's later this week, if it's next week, hey, bro, you just come on. You just let us know. We're not going with anybody. You know, it's totally okay." So that's all of my customers for that day, but all of my customers know what I got going on. So, anyways, and when the babysitter got there, I told her, "Hey, change of plans," and she said, "Okay, no problem. I'm still available Tuesday and Friday." I said, "Okay, great." So, her mom. So I went back and had her all day Monday, and then her mom had her Tuesday, and I watched the kids, and then Wednesday, uh, Robert, her dad, got to the house at 7:30. Um, or Tuesday, I went and worked for a couple of hours. I had 4 hours. I had to send some mower blades back to Walker because they sent me the wrong. Well, the distributor of Walker, they sent me the wrong ones, and then I had to mailed some stuff, and I went and did a couple of yards. That's all. Before you know it, 4 hours is gone. And then I came home at 12:30, and then I watched the kids the rest of the day. That was Tuesday, and then Wednesday I had Robert get there at 7:30. Uh, Watched the kids, and I came straight to the hospital because we were doing the lumbar puncture yesterday, and I wanted to be here for that. That's they were going to sedate her, and normally she doesn't use sedation on the LP. It's just like Ativan, kind of it's semi-sedated, and when they sedate her, she's still semi-sedated, but they use pro, prop, propofol, which is like some heavy stuff that knocks you out. You're fed oxygen through the nose, even though you have no problem breathing, just to give you a little bit more. And so he was there. Then my mom was coming in out of town at 12:30 to watch the kids till 7 till I got there. So we did that all day yesterday. And so here's what was happening last Friday. All right. Well, no, I'll get that back in a second because you're going to freak out when I tell you what happened. I'll tell you this: they had to stop her heart, and then I'll tell you what happened after that. So we got the LP result. Oh, yesterday, after the LP, when she woke up, from being knocked out, this was in the evening time now. She sat up, and I was like, "Whoa!" She says, "Can you hand me my phone?" And I turned because I was watching TV, and I turned. I'm like, I can't believe she was awake because there was no response for a week, right? And I said, "Yeah." And so she gets on her phone, starts returning messages. Like, this is a behavior I have not seen at all, since we've been here in this visit. Because she's had morphine after morphine after morphine and just, you know, knocked out. And so we did that. The LP came back today. There was no abnormal cells, which is a good thing. Now, the full report won't come back for a day or two, but that's really the first thing they look at. Kind of like bone marrow biopsy, they look at the blast count. If it comes back a high percent or low percent, the doctors kind of don't really need to see the rest, but they do want to see the rest. But that's the main thing you're focused on. So it came back normal, which is good. That means there's no cancer in the cerebral fluid. If there was, then they'd have to do like what's called a regional chemotherapy. That's where they inject chemo in certain areas. Okay, so we took her off. I requested them to take her off the morphine because she was just too all like that. Now you could become addicted to morphine. So this was the thing. Every time we asked her what's your pain, what's your pain, she's like, "Oh, I'm in so much pain. I'm a 10." We're like, she's doped up on morphine on top of morphine, quick release, long lasting, IV, fucking all this shit. Like, there's no way you can feel pain. But what'll happen is over a period of time, because morphine is an opiate, is the body becomes addicted to it. So if any of you guys out there smoke and you become addicted to the nicotine in your mind, you're craving it, you start getting jitters, you get frustrated, you get whatever it is that your deal is. That's what's happening with her, but with the morphine. So if a painkiller, it makes you feel pain when you don't have it in your body. So we wanted to find out, is it the cancer causing the pain or is it the medicine causing the pain? So to do that, we had to take her off. Now, morphine doesn't exit your body as quickly as some other medicines. It takes several days because there's a lot of residue in there, or residual. Sorry. Um, so, and especially the long-lasting stays in your system longer than a quick release does. Anyway, so we hopped her over to fentanyl as we were winging her off of morphine, and then we took her off of fentanyl and put her on oxycodone on a long or at least a slow acting, which was one every 12 hours, one in the morning, one in the evening, and then a quick release was also 5 milligrams. And so to help maintain the pain, and it takes a few days for the long release. It takes those a few days to really fill into your body to where you start feeling the effects. It's not like a quick release or you pop a Tylenol, Excedrin. That's a quick release. It lasts good for a couple hours and then it goes away. You got to take another one. But shit, you got to wait 6 more hours, right? Okay. So, all right. So let's jump back to Friday because what you guys heard me say her heart stopped. Yeah, they stopped it on purpose. And I'll tell you what happened. So on Friday, I brought the kids up here. We're hanging out, chilling. She's kind of in and out, but awake and hugging the babies. I got here like at 8 o'clock that morning, and I woke her. Her mom was here, and so she woke up seeing Casey and Lan and Talon and Riley, and anyway, so she was doing okay. Now that morning, They did a blood culture, which they do every so often to test the blood. When they do blood cultures, they pull them from two parts of your body. They pull them from your PIC line, and then they pull them from another part of your arm, because they compare the two. And if there's an infection, one will show and one may not. If it doesn't show in one, and it shows in the other, it'll tell you where an infection or virus might be located. Sometimes the PIC lines do get infected, and then they got to take them out and put new ones in. And a PIC line runs through inside of your vein from where they put it in all the way up to your heart. It's freaky shit. Anyway, so uh, she woke up and they were giving her some antibiotics. A new one was dexamethasone, which is an antibiotic that fight a virus that she had. And then, all right, so, or no, that was, oh no, uh, they changed one of her antibiotics. Dexamethasone. No, sorry. They gave her dexamethasone, which was actually part of the chemo. Sorry, it's similar to the antivirus one I'm going to mention here in a minute. And started that, and the other medicine they gave her that morning was the hydrocotin, oxycotin. Sorry. Um, and so about noonish, her heart started racing. Now we didn't know it at the time. The guy comes in and he does an EKG, just a random scheduled EKG to see how she's doing. They do try to do that once a week if a patient's been in there. They want to see what's going on in the heart. And he hooked it up and said, she's at 100 or at 221. I have to call in the cardiologist, anyone who's 170 or above. So he calls the cardiologist, tells the doctor, all the doctors are still there, right outside her room in their little where all the computers are. They do their stuff, and then they go see the different patients. And the nurse comes in, the doctor comes in, and they check her out, And of course, I'm standing there, listening and watching everything and answering questions. And anyway, so they started jumping up. So they didn't waste any time. They gave her 5 shots of metoprolol at the 2.5 cc's or milligrams, I don't remember. And then, so her heart came down to in the 180s. They did another EKG. Then it started doing some still crazy things going on. So they brought in, then everybody, like 15, doctors and nurses come in the room. I'm like, holy shit, dude, this shit's about to get real. They brought the crash cart. That's the machine that's got the two paddles that, you, and I'm like, okay, something's really going down. And so they gave her a shot of azinidine. Azinidine is or is it adenosine, sorry, and that stops your heart. So, because of what was going on in the heart, they purposely stopped it. And that's some freaky shit. And they started again. Now, they didn't tell me that until after the fact, and for good reason, because I would have been like, you gotta do what? So, sometimes they don't tell you what they're doing in the middle of what they're doing until after they're doing it, because they don't want you to freak out. And he kept looking over at me. He said, "You gonna be okay?" I said, "I'm gonna be fine. Two things. I'm not gonna pass out. I'm not in the way. You do what you need to do. I just need to watch. And if something happens, I want to make sure I'm the last one that she sees." So, anyway, so after it was all, everybody, they did their, gave it, he said, "All right, give her the shots." They give her a shot, and everybody's looking at the time. So, it had to stop for a certain amount of time. And then after, they're all looking at the time, and then they're looking at the rhythm machine. And then after, I swear it was like 5 minutes. I mean, it wasn't that long, but it seemed like it. And then finally, when they said, okay, he turned around, and this doctor, Dr. Issa, his eyes were watery. So I knew that he really, all doctors care, but for some reason, some just care more for certain patients for whatever reason. Now, no doctor wants to lose a patient, what I'm saying, under their care. But when I saw his eyes teared up when he turned around, and he said this to me. He says, she had us. He said, she had me a little scared there for a minute. He goes, but she'll be just fine. And I was like, okay. I still didn't know until after all everybody else left. And I said, okay, so what all did you guys do to, He goes, all right, well, I gave her some adenosine, shit, adenosine. Anyways, and we had to stop her heart. Okay, so the cardiologist, now her mom was with the kids in the upper 24th floor on the observation floor with Danielle's cousin, um, Ashley. So she's up there uh, talking to, what's up, Jim? Man, I didn't realize all these people talking down here. Um, what's up, Brandon? Uh, uh, Rebuildable Ryan, what's up? Tyler, man, how are you guys? Rich, Bob the Slacker. Okay, and uh, so he says, okay, the cardiologist comes in and he's telling me everything. That's the same time her mom comes in and didn't even know what happened. So the kids are on the observation deck with Ashley, Danielle's cousin. And she says, okay, hey, how's she doing? I said, well, you just missed everything. So I told her everything I just told you guys. And the cardiologist, he starts talking about what happened. He had like this long fucking name for it, right? And I said, all right, oh yeah, that's called da 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 da. And I was like, wow. And he says, what happens is your heart has these different, and a lot of people know this, your heart has a lot of these different electric bolts that go off. That's what gets the heart going. Well, there's different areas of the heart that do different things to get all that guy going. So you have it's these bolts of electricity that go off, right? Tons of them. And he says what happens is when that's going off and you're breathing and the arrhythmia of your heart and whatever else, when it all lines up just right, he goes, the heart takes off and starts going. And he says, some people it can beat well over 300, some people it's whatever, right? He says it's not life threatening. Most of the time, it goes back down to normal after a few minutes. The only time it's life threatening is if it's doing it for like 20 or 30 minutes because it really wears the heart out. And he says it freaks a lot of the doctors and the nurses out because they're like, oh, what's going on? Is the person having a heart attack or is this or that or something else going on? He says, but really it's just, what it was called. He says, that's why I didn't come down here right away. I was waiting for the whole dust to settle because I knew what was going on. I was like, okay. He's like, okay, so why didn't you just come down and tell them what was going on? They didn't have to do all this other bullshit. I didn't think about saying that, but anyways. So he left. He says anybody that can happen to. It can happen to an extremely healthy individual. He said if it's happened to you once, as a child or something, he goes, it could probably happen to you again. You don't feel any pain. He says your heart's just beating real fast, and then it kind of flutters, and then it goes back down. And when he started saying that, I was like, shit, dude, that happens to me a lot. All of a sudden, it does feel like my heart will feel like it's racing, and I'm like not even playing Xbox in an intense Call of Duty moment or something. And it's just boom, 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 boom. And then I can hear it in my ears, and then I feel like it. Then it just slows back down, and I never knew what it was. That's what it was. Anyways, okay. So then after that day, Friday, at like 2 hours after that, when the kids were still there, she was wide awake. She was sitting up. She was talking, telling stories, telling jokes. I was like, what the hell happened? Because that was not her the first 10 days. She was completely lethargic, completely non coherent, nothing. I mean, nothing of nothing. And, anyways, I was like, wow, so like that reset really made a big difference. And so it helped her out with that, anyways. And he says, so what happens is if you don't interrupt, the cardiologist said, if you don't interrupt that circuit, it'll just keep going sometimes. I was like, wow. So by doing what they did, it interrupted its circuit and then it restarted again. All right. So then we're still trying to figure out why she's in so much pain. So they're changed the medications to get her out of being so lethargic, let the pain catch back up to her body to where she's coherent and telling you, hey, I'm at an 8 or a 10 or a 5, where she was so drugged up she couldn't say anything. And we didn't want that to happen because you don't want to mask the pain. She needs to be moving around. That's what's good for her, eating and stuff. Because here's what happens if you don't eat when you're being treated. You have four options. You can shovel food in your face, okay, is one. Two, they can feed you a mixture of different types of chemical type food that comes through an IV. Then they have to put another IV. They can't use your PICC line. There'll be a separate IV for that to go through, and then you're subject to that infection. Or three, you can have an NG tube through your nose all the way down to your belly, which I've had before. It fucking sucks. feed you food, blended food that way, or they can surgically install a tube into your gut, to your stomach, and that is like the worst scenario, like borderline, like you're gonna die because you haven't eaten in like however long. They do that, and you are highly susceptible to infection with that right there. And your body, already weak, has tried to heal itself from that, having that type of surgery. And if you're already weak, you're gosh, and you're battling all this stuff, you're not going to have enough energy to recover from that surgery. Then you're having to deal with that too, and that's more meds on top of that. So, and I told her, I said, babe, like I was tearing up. I said, look, you have to eat, because sometimes if you're in this position, if any of you are in this situation, sometimes you have to talk the truth, as bad as it might be. Like, babe, look, the doctors are doing everything they can to get you cured, all the different steps that we're doing, and this is just one of those steps. And the other stuff is you have to do your part, and I have to do my part. If you don't eat, one of these things are what's going to happen. So I told her, and I said, ultimately, you don't eat, you're going to die. And I know that fucking sucks. You hear me saying that, right? But you have to. Sometimes you have to do that to really connect with that person. Look, you have to eat. I'm not saying you have to eat all of this. You just open your mouth, do the chewing and swallowing. I'll feed you the spoon, and you try to find foods that they don't have to chew a lot, but that are healthy, and that will go down. Swallow a little easy. So we had to do that. Once I did that, that was Friday. That Saturday she started eating. That Sunday she started eating more, and then we went backwards on Monday and Tuesday. But um, anyway, so then she got an infection. She got infection in her PICC line, and so they were giving deptomycin, uh, which is fighting that. It was a staph infection, an internal staph infection, not one that you can get from contact of anything. And what's up, Robert? George, how you doing, George? And so they're giving daptomycin, and um, and so that's been going good. So now she's been cleared of the staph infection, but they're going to give it to her one shot every, or into her IV every 24 hours, and we're scheduled to leave Saturday. So they're putting the new PICC line in this evening sometime, and then she'll start her last round of part of the chemo, which is vincristine. Um, and then after that, uh, she won't want to do anything after that. But she'll eat as she's eating right now, the chicken noodle soup, and she probably won't have dinner because this is like the only meal for the day for her. What's been going on. But tomorrow, eat physical therapy tomorrow, um, and then Saturday, then we can go home. Now, you know, her doctor, Dr. Isa, they all the doctors come in every morning, doctors, the PAs, whatever, and they talk with each patient. You ask your questions and stuff. Um, Now, one of the things they're going to try her on is what's called CAR T cell therapy. It's a type of immunotherapy. The CAR stands for chimeric antigen receptor. T is the T cell. T cells we have in all of our body. That's what fights infections. And so what happens is the cancer that's in our body. How you doing, John? Is the cancers? Thank you. The cancers that are in our body, or any type of infection that comes in our body, our T cells, go towards it, and then it connects to it, and it starts feeding it toxins to kill that virus. That's how that works. So with cancer, it's the same way. Our T cells go up to it, they identify it. Hey, look, you don't need to be here, Jack, and they start whooping its ass. But what happens is the cancers can have a lot of what is it called? Antigens? No, something else that the receptors cling on to. The receiving end, that's on the virus, has so many that the receptors from uh, the cells, T cells, can't connect to it. Or what happens is the cancer cells are able to disguise themselves, and the T cells can't identify them of what they are. They're like, oh, there's no threat, so here we know we're not going to try to do anything. So what happens is on a CAR T cell immunotherapy is they draw the blood out of the individual, and then they take it back to a lab, and they program those T cells with these CARs, these chimeric antigen receptors, and they feed it and tell it what to do. It when I say programming, I ain't bullshit. I mean, it's programming, and then they put it back in your body, and then now the T cells now have the information and I can identify what they're supposed to attack. Then they start going to those attaching themselves and start kicking their ass. And but with that, there's a lot of side effects. And like all things, death is one of them. But that was like definitely mentioned. Uh, so, um, but the results from uh, being cured from that was very high. But they also come out with a new one called NK T cell immunotherapy, and NK stands for natural killer. Like they couldn't have thought of another name, I guess. And that's actually uh, blood that they get from other people. So basically, there's a cryo bank in a lot of different areas, and there's one around here, and there's thousands upon thousands of all these blood vials that they have that they collect from random people, children, people who are born, mainly people who are born because they're the cleanest, just about, and all these other things. So they have them on the shelf or in this cryo banks or whatever, and they keep them, which lasts indefinitely and then they keep those, and then they can create what they want to create, and they can use it down the road, or they create what they need down the road. And with the NKT immunotherapy, whenever they create that, it can be used for multiple different people. Okay, the CAR T cells can only be used for that individual. It's designed only for that person. So the NK has also been a little bit quicker results as far as achieving what you're trying to do, which is wipe out the cancer, and far less side effects. It's a newer type of treatment, so we're looking at doing that as well. Uh, Thank you, Logan. And the stem cell transplant, I think, is still on the table, but what they're looking at is time frame because every time she's been in remission, it's not long and she goes into relapse. So the chemo that puts you in remission is a little different than the chemo that keeps you in remission, because the one that puts you in remission is super strong and really hard on your body. So that that donor is in Europe, so he's ready to go. So what happens is when the patient gets to the position of where they're you have to wait at least 3 weeks after your chemo treatment to even do a stem cell transplant. Um, Now during that 2 to 3 weeks, they do you do different kind of checks and whatever it is to get ready for a transplant. And during that time, they generally wait to the end of that 3 weeks, and then they contact the donor, which goes through different offices up from here to Europe, and and they reach out to the donor. Sometimes it takes a few days for a call back. Hey, we need you to come in, do some final checking, like make sure you don't have mouth sores, make sure you don't have a cold, a fever. When was the last time you took medicine? All that kind of stuff. So you do all that, then they draw the blood. But sometimes the stem cell transplant is bone marrow in itself. And sometimes the stem cell transplant doctor wants to do something different. So he may draw blood out of the donor, inject uh, uh, rapid cell growth, something, put it back in there, and then draw it back out 5 days later. So you have a lot more cells. I think it's cells, rapid growth, something cells. I don't remember. And then you put that into the patient, and then you have a higher chance because you have a lot more fighting agents out there. Anyway, so and I asked, I said, well, why can't you guys just go ahead and draw, do the blood and marrow? And that's because it depends the patient at the time, what the doctor transplant, how he wants it for the patient will depend how they get it from the donor. And I said, well, what about if you just draw blood from like on the registry? There's millions of people across the world who's on a registry. There was one match. Now think about that. How many people are on this planet? And then how many millions are on the registry? There's a lot, okay? Because I just said millions. And you have one guy that's 100% match. Now, if she had a brother or a sister, she doesn't, but if she did, there would be the first point of contact that they would want to see because more than likely they would be 100% match if they had the same mom and dad. Her mom and dad was going to be a secondary backup just in case because of time frame on the shortage amount of time that we would have before she hits relapse. So at the most, the mom or dad would only be at 50%. There would be a match, but it could be very small, but the most would be is a 50. Let's see, Jim. Thank you, Jim. I definitely listen to the doctors a lot and read a lot and pay attention and ask like a gazillion questions. Um, so it definitely helps to understand what's going on and how things work and process and what to look for and everything. Um, and I said, well, why can't you? And I asked the lady who does the stem cell coordinating on the scheduling and reaching to other the clinics that have all these different donors. And I said, how come you can't draw blood from all these millions of uh, donors, possible donors, potential donors, because they've been vetted and everything, and keep it in a cryo bank, and then you just pull off, you know, out of the cryo, because cryo will last forever, cryogenic. And how, why can't you do that? And that's when she had said, well, because there's so many different options you can do, with the blood from one person or inject something in them and then change something to draw back out. I'm like, dude, that's some mad scientist shit right there. And, or you want bone marrow instead, or you want this, or you want that. And she says, you could do that with everybody, make it, so many different ways. But then what happens is if that's not what that patient needs at that time, but you still need something from the donor, it'll be hard to get that donor back to do another donation. Sometimes the insurance won't pay for it. Be like, well, you should have got it right the first time. And sometimes they want it fresh, fresh. So there's too many moving pieces for that. Maybe down the road. And anyway, so uh, we're looking at the NK T cell therapy, and then possibly I think we would still do the stem cell transplant. We'll see Dr. Mehta, which is the transplant doctor, next week, along with Dr. Weirda, which is her outpatient doctor, treatment doctor. And so when you're an outpatient, you have your treatment doctor. When you're inpatient, you have that separate doctor because, gosh, one doctor can't see in and outpatient. Don't work that way. Just so you know, MD Anderson has, as far as inpatient rooms, have like almost 700 rooms, I think, 695 or something like that. And then plus you have all the outpatient stuff they do. They deal by the hundreds a day that come in every single day. It's 24-hour operation. No office is closed on the transfusion room and stuff like that. But I think even Christmas, yeah, even Christmas they're open. So, but anyway, so we're looking at possibly Saturday that she would come home, and even then she would still be real weak. So we would need to make sure she's getting a couple of naps a day, but still getting up and moving. And sometimes she don't want to move, but you have to kind of start moving her, and sometimes she'll wake up. I came in one day on the Saturday I came and woke up early. I said, all right, baby, let's get up and we're going to change your sheets. So I hand washed her feet, I hand washed her hands, I hand washed her face, her neck, her back, her not her back, sorry, her head, and then we cleaned underneath her fingernails real good. We got her up, changed her gown, changed her pants, her socks, everything. Put her in the recliner chair, ate, and then we changed her bed sheets, and then physical therapy got there, and then we did a little bit there. So, and then from that point, she was awake for a couple of hours. So sometimes it's hard to get to that point, but you have to physically move them, but you got to be gentle until they kind of wake up. Once they start moving, the body wakes up. And so we had her aunt and cousin came Sunday, and we got her in the wheelchair, and we came down to this very room here, and we talked for about 45 minutes, and then she was dozing off in the chair, so we went back. We got to her door, and I said, all right, baby, you need to walk a little bit. So we walked from her door to her bed, which is about 10 feet, 10, 12 feet, and she did pretty good. I just held her so she wouldn't, fall forward or back, but she moved all on her own, and that took a lot out of her. So, but those little, you know, uh, goals that you do every day to help, and then you build on top of those. Um, anyway, so from this point, now we're looking at going home possibly Saturday. So we go home Saturday, see the kids, um, and then keep moving forward with the treatment and see what we can do on that. Anyways, so I wanted to catch you guys up with that because I hadn't talked to you for quite some time. All right, so I'm gonna go back and read some of these. If you guys have any questions, please just let me know. Grandma's in there with her right now, so I thought I'd come in here and chat with you guys. Thank you, Money Mike. Thank you, Bob. Yeah, chicken noodle soup is real good, especially the homemade kind. So my mom's gonna make. Now my granddad, who's 96 this year, um, he's the one I was telling you guys that was in World War II, Korea and Vietnam. He survived through two different types of cancers in his 80s, no issues. Just had cataract surgery too. And anyways, and my mom would go. He lives in Elgin, which is I don't know, maybe 2 hours from our house. And my mom would go every single day, and she would take some really like incredible homemade healing food that she would cook for him. And she helped him get back on his feet after his cancers. I remember when I was living in Amarillo, and I rode my motorcycles all I had at the time, and I rode from Amarillo all the way to Austin. He was at one of the hospitals being treated there, and man, when I saw him, I was just like, wow, he was curled up on his bed. He didn't really recognize me. He was just kind of, real kind of scared. And mom drove there every single day to take care of him, along with the doctors. Because you got to be careful because doctors, you have to have in this position, you have to have an advocate because if you don't have an advocate, what happens is they feed you, not feed you, but I mean they give you sometimes medicines you don't really need. Sometimes they're gonna do something you don't really need to do it, or it's not in your best interest, but they're fucking doing it just to do it. Now, not all the time, but a lot of times it happens. Or nurses don't treat you how you should be treated, or this and that, or whatever. So having an advocate when you're in that kind of position is really good because they're making sure they're answering all the questions and they're asking questions, which is very important. And uh, like our mom Wendy didn't do a lot of that, but a lot of people don't know what questions to ask. Um, and so I had to, tell her because I wasn't always there. I said, hey, I'd call her on the phone. You need to ask this, and this. And if they answer some of these in this manner, then you need to ask that because sometimes the doctor's answer to your question leads to another question. Okay? So she didn't understand all that. And so a couple of times she said, man, I'm sure glad you keep up with all this stuff. That's a lot, that's for sure, a lot of information. Yeah, Rich, she gets some protein in the boost, little drinks here, and she can do a shake with the boost in there, which is good. Let's see here, is that texting me? Oh, okay. Megan, yeah. Babysitter, and then Alan from Walker, he sent me a picture of a B-23 with a 74-inch side discharge deck on there. I was like, dude, that thing looks like the bat airplane or something. But yeah, protein would be good for her. They said the cause of her heart going crazy was low potassium. So they gave her a ton of potassium. Now she's at a 9.5 for her. That's where she needs to be. Sometimes low on electrolytes can cause a lot of issues too. Different imbalances. You got all kinds of things in your body, man. You got CO2, oxygen, zinc, tons of stuff in your body. Um, if things have more or less than others, dude, you're just in bad shape sometimes. Tyler, thank you, Rebuildable Ryan. Appreciate that. Thank you, Jim. What's up, Brandon Casala? Morphine does it. Morphine does it also. What's happening? So does morphine. Yeah. Yes, they're having a rough go life around. It feels better. Thank you, Robert Melhouse. I appreciate that. You know what, Bob, the slacker, that I love some homemade chicken noodle soup, man. And my mom used to make the best dumplings, dude. Dude, I could eat that stuff for days. Thank you, Stats. I appreciate that. Thank you, Doug. John Ridden, prayers go out. Thank you, John. Logan. Thank you, Logan. I appreciate that. Thank you, Money Mike. I appreciate that. A lot of information for sure. Okay, Mike, you take care, bro. We'll talk with you soon. Thank you, Thomas. Yeah, Barnes, it's crazy, dude. Um, Avenging Knight, John Riddle. Yeah, that's the name, John. Uh, Medicinals. What are you talking about on that? Thank you, Doug. I appreciate that. Um, what do you mean, John? I, I think it's John. Avenging Knight. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's John. I'm trying to remember because you hadn't messaged me on Instagram a long time, so I'm trying to remember the name. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that, dude. God bless you too, man. So, so here we're at now. So here's a plan for the next couple of days. Um, I'm gonna take Grandma back home tonight. I'm gonna be with the kids tonight. Danielle's been sleeping pretty good overnight. Um, then in the morning, the babysitter will be there at 8:30 and can stay till 12:30. I have some properties scheduled for tomorrow, but uh, it's rained all day, so I don't think it's really going to work. And then my mom will be there about 12:30 to watch them till about 7, and then I've got to go back. So what I was thinking is I need to do probably at least two properties tomorrow. Go do those as soon as that 8:30 gets there. It's gonna be cold as balls. It's like 40s in the morning. Go knock out those two real quick. Come back. Wait. Well, I don't have to wait. Take a quick shower, and then head up here. That way I skip a lot of that traffic in Houston and still be with her all day, and then get home when my mom needs to go. That'll be Friday, and then Saturday, come up here. I have one. Her dad was off Friday. Her dad's off Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and her mom's off Monday, Tuesday, or something like that. And then Saturday come home. So that should be okay. Oh, yeah. It depends because uh, with her type of pain, it probably won't do much. Now it may make her hungry, so that might want her to eat, but I'm not really sure. Gummy bears, boy, that sounds good. What's up, Evan? Jerkman starting out with 18-foot trailer to plant. Well, 18-foot trailer, bro. If you 18, you might as well fucking. All right, we're talking about lawn care here, real quick. Um, Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that, brother. Um, all right, Evan. Well, if you're buying 18, you might as well just go 20, uh, because what's 2 more feet, right? Um, well, it all depends what kind of equipment. Like if you're starting out, and I don't know what kind of equipment you have right now, but let's say, okay, what type of equipment do you think you're going to have in 5 years or in 10 years? 10 years, it's a little far away to really even think about. Like I wouldn't even fucking be thinking about 10 years. 5 years will get here before you know it. So, in my opinion, thinking about trailer length, I wouldn't be putting it past the 5 year, you know, projected time frame. So, depending what equipment you have now, like if you have a bunch of, for example, you have a bunch of walkers or X marks, the the navigators, like those types of machines, you have those, you'll need some extra room. So if you have big zero turns or long zero turn machines, you need that extra room. If you have those plus walk behinds plus push mowers, you need that extra room. If you have just a few stand ons, you don't need that extra room. It just depends what you need the room for. Because all of your handheld equipment go on racks all the way around. Stuff that's push, pull, walk behind, stand on, sit, all those things, you need floor space. You need room to put your grass catchers, maybe. Things you need room. You also want room to put like fertilizer bags, mulch bags, because some projects you might use mulch bags, some you might not. So if you have that room allocated for that trailer, that spot when you need it, you'll have it. You can throw down, you know, a yard of mulch in bags on 2 cubic feet is 12.5 bags. Okay, that's 1 yard of mulch. If you went to a place that they scooped it up and dumped it, that's 12.5 bags. So that's 1 yard. So if you have room for that, that's great. Like I have a 6 by 12, and it's by the time I put the walker on there and the walk behind trailer, I don't have a lot of room, but I can fit a yard of mulch on there. A few bags here, bags there, and I got 1 yard on there, and I'm fine. But it all depends. You can even go 7 feet wide, I believe, or maybe it's 6.5 or 77 inches. I forget what this widest you can go. Maybe it's 7. I don't remember. But you can have that on there. So it depends what you're running now and what you think you're going to be doing in 5 years. Thank you, Barnes. You take care of that little one, man. Enjoy that dinner. 'Cause that sounds good right about now. Yeah, it's true, Johnny, but she ain't gonna go for that shit, dude. She's like, no, you know. Uh, let's see here. I'm getting an X mark walk behind as well as a Grasshopper Zero turn. I'm wanting to specialize in commercials and large residential properties. Okay, so with that being said, Evan, you're going to want wider decks, you know, as wide as, gosh, 70 inches, 60 inches, whatever you think you can fit on there. Um, and the wider you go, the less chance that you can put the machine on there and turn it perpendicular to make room for more. So stand on mowers, you have a better chance of doing that, and then you can put more on there. Although a stand-on mower is almost as some, depending on the width of the deck, is almost as wide as it is length. So then that kind of really doesn't. It won't. That turning it doesn't change anything. Those dimensions. But so yeah, if you went 18, brother, you might as well just go 20. You're not paying that much more for a trailer anyways on 2 more feet. And I've never heard anybody say, "Man, I got 20. I sure wish I had a fucking 18." No, it's always the other way around. Had an 18, man. I sure wish I had a 20. So you might as well go 20. That's so right, Brandon. It'll get crazy. Anybody have any questions, whether it's about Danielle's update or about lawn care that you guys may want to know? And I appreciate every one of you guys' uh, well wishes and prayers and commenting on here. And I haven't had a chance to reach out to any of you guys in any of my videos. Some of you guys text me, Doug, Jim, um, Thomas, George. Um, there's a couple other guys who text me too, to see how she's doing. Pretty often. And I'll tell you what, man. Uh, you guys message more than my friends. Well, I don't have any friends here, but you guys message more than other people who live right here to see how she's doing. Now here was the other thing. I was bitching. I wasn't bitching. I was venting to her grandma about the church that Danielle goes to, and I said, and she's been going to that church for a long time. Now you guys tell me if this ain't fucked up. Um, Danielle's been going to that church for a long time. And so the pastor knows who she is, right? A lot of people do. She used to watch the kids in their little daycare area, during school, or during school, during service time, and then her kids were staying there too. Her two older kids would when they were little. Anyway, so when he was told, when she was diagnosed, and we were here in MD Anderson, one of the visits, actually, our first or second visit here, uh, one of the people in the donation department that reach out to different patients, hey, would you like to set up a donation in your name? And that's where people can come out and donate. And every donation they get $25 off of the bill. They don't actually get that blood, or they don't actually get those platelets. They might. I mean, it goes into the system here, and it filters through who needs it, you know, more, who needs it right now versus, who could wait another day for it. You see what I'm saying? So, anyways, and so she coordinated. She said, yeah. So we set that up 3 months later. It was in July for that. And then she said, okay, where would you like to do it? She said, well, I could probably do it at my church. Let me call and see if that's okay. So the lady said, sure. And so she called the church and spoke to the lady who works at, in the office, whatever her name is. She knew who to call. She said, hey, I got diagnosed with cancer. She's like, oh my gosh. And MD Anderson would like to set up a blood drive bus there at the church, and we can get as many people, So they set that up. That was between like 8 and 1 or 8 and 2. So that was like there's no reason, to miss it. If you're going up for church, just walk your ass over there, donate 15 minutes to donate blood, about an hour and some change to donate platelets, and then, in your service or if you're done, because you can catch both services there. So she said, yeah, let me check with the pastor to make sure that's okay. So he comes back, his exact words, I quote, says, well, um, we can have one here, but we can't have it in her name. It needs to be an open donation because, if people find out that, we set that up, which he ain't setting up shit. All he's doing is just giving us part of the parking lot. Now, granted, this church sits on 31 acres. There is a shitload of parking, okay? Boatload of parking. And he says, then everybody who's sick or has cancer or a relative or whatever is going to want the same favor. And I said, when she told me that, I said, fuck him. That's what I said, quote unquote. I said, fuck him. And so I'm like, okay, so let me get this right. So you want 10% of everybody's money who comes through the church, because that's what the Bible says to get, and you want to receive, and and this is a big church. They got like 10,000 plus members. They're a world church. They're involved in a shit. Their fingers are in a lot of different things, and you want to do all these different things, but you don't want to fucking say, hey, this is for Danielle. Maybe people would donate. Maybe more people would donate if they maybe knew who it was, because a lot of people knew who she was. Anyways, the van or the bus maxed out on what it could receive, so that was a good thing. I was the first person on there to do platelets, and but it was so frustrating. And that motherfucker never even came to visit Danielle once. It still hasn't. He hasn't texted her, hasn't called her, hasn't emailed her, hasn't messaged her online, Facebook, or whatever. Nothing. Hasn't come by. Fucking nothing. And I'm like, how are you going to be this almighty pastor, leading a congregation of 10,000 plus members, and you're not even leading by example? And I'm like, and you should be, as soon as you found out, you should say, the first thing out of your fucking mouth should be, man, I'm so sorry to hear that. I'm going to pray for her. I'm going to go see her, pray, whatever. Where is she staying at? What's her phone number? I call her back real quick. Then the next thing out of your mouth should be, man, I'm so sorry to hear that, Danielle. Let's just pray real quick. And then where are you at so I can come see you? Can you have visitors? That's one of the things you got to ask. Can you have visitors? Can I come visit you? None of that. Never call fucking nothing. And so I'm like, what, dude, you're the biggest hypocrite piece of turd I've ever known. And you don't know the true meaning of what being a Christian is sacrifice and giving, and understanding and forgiveness. And there's a lot of things. But as a pastor, you know, you should you should be seeing everybody. But no, he's off fucking doing other shit. He has other people like assistant pastors or whatever that run this church on Sundays. And I go there a couple times with her, and I'm just like, I don't really want to go. I go to help her with the kids, really. And I'm like, and plus going, makes her happy. But like, I don't. It goes in right in one ear and out the other. I grew up, going to churches, Baptist churches and other churches, and we had, dude. I grew up going to fucking good churches. These churches nowadays, they're all about fucking making money and putting money in their pocket, and all that stuff. Now this goes back a long time. Let's go back before the Roman days when, all right, Catholics came to the picture, doing it for the wrong reasons. Now, not every church. So, I normally don't talk politics, but or religion. Not every church, but sometimes you get pastors who they want that fucking money and they hoo hawing over everything and they get you excited. I'll give you my fucking paycheck. They make you believe all kinds of shit instead of doing the right thing, and that's helping people in their lives and helping, motivate them, encouraging them, talking about different stories of the Bible and try to relate to those things that helps them go on, and not always looking at how to better their lives, driving their fancy cars, living in their big ass houses, making big time money. I don't fucking. That's all. You know, not every church is like that. Remember, not every church is like that. And I'm not saying this church is, but what pissed me off is this motherfucker didn't even want to come down. Someone who's been going to your church that you know, that you've hugged, that you shook your hands with many times, have a friendship with, at least I thought, won't even go down there. And here's the thing that blows my fucking mind is everybody here on YouTube. A lot of you are right here, right now, and a lot of you who not on here because they don't know the video's going, who have sent money, who have texted me, who have been on the giveaways, who have communicated somehow, you know, brother, you know, I'm sorry to hear what you're going through, or man, we're praying for you, or, you know, or they message me, you know, how's she doing? You know, I have more, I consider you guys friends. I've never met you guys, okay? But we've talked to each other. Some, like I said, we talk, you know, on the side, on text message and emails, and you know, really connected. And I consider a lot of you guys my friends, and I get more support. In fact, all the support, most of the support, like 90% of the support, is from you guys. Is that not fucking crazy or what? You know, total strangers. You know, Mike G, Money Mike G sent $25 a minute. Now I wasn't asking for money. He did it because he wanted to, and you know, you just have to love a person for when they do things because they want to. And here's the other thing. See, Danielle's got a couple of friends that we all did the life group at their house, and or at one of their houses every Thursday. You know, we're a big group of us, three or four different, five or six different married families, and we would all go there every Thursday. We do a lesson plan out of whatever that previous Sunday's lesson plan was for church. We do it there in our little group. We all bring food. We eat. The kids go upstairs to play with their little babysitter, and we pay her like 25 bucks or something. Generally, it's the older kid of one of the other ones. And none of the motherfuckers come to visit her in hospital. Now, they were told in the very beginning, you know, back in February, hey, nobody come because, you know, in the beginning, nobody come because we need to get her, you know, get going on her medicines and this and that. And as long as you're not sick, you know, you can come at a later date. A lot of people still didn't come. They should have asked, hey, can she have visitors yet? Can she, you know, can we see her? Can we this or that? And Jim, you crazy guy, you didn't have to do that, man. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you. Um, you know, and they still didn't show up. And I'm like, what the fuck? Now, her best friend Kelsey, who lives in Indiana, used to live here in our group, moved back to Indiana with her husband and kiddos. And she has flown down here two or three times, visited Danielle in the hospital. As when Danielle was home one of the times, she would take her out to eat, go take her to get her nails done. This was last month, and just treat her real good like a best friend does. You know what I'm saying? Just take care of her. Her best friend also paid to have the lady who used to clean her house before she moved. She hired her to come to our house every Monday or as we needed for her to tidy up the house, sweep, mop, clean the bathrooms, you know, things like that, which is very nice of her. Um, but I don't measure friendship by those types of money things. It's the communication uh, that she was giving, always texting, always messaging her, how you doing, calling her on the phone. I mean, they're best friends. These other fucking knuckleheads, um, you know, these two girls, you know how girls can be all fucking fake as shit, but guys can do. But girls are just better at doing it because guys are like, I ain't got time to fuck with that shit. And but girls will do it to save face, you know, because there's another girlfriend involved that is friends with all of them, and that would be Kelsey. So when I was telling Kelsey about this, I said, you know, so and so, so and so, so never even came by. They never called. They don't text. Nothing. She started crying. She says, "This upsets me very much. Do you want me to call them and talk to them?" I said, "No. Why would I want you to do that? When you guilt trip someone, or when you tell somebody to go visit somebody in the hospital, that is, or the sick, or at home, or whatever, that's not the same. That's not the same as doing it on your own. It's a whole different, you know, your heart's in a different place, your mind's in a different place. You should be coming on your own. If you're already good friends, be like, hey, um, you know, what can we do for you, Danielle? You know, you just tell us, you know, all right. So um, she, so when Kelsey came to the hospital one time to visit her out of the state, then her other two little girlfriends came. that live right up the street from us. Came to visit her. Oh, hi, Danielle, blah, 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 all that stupid bullshit. It's like, okay, so for months this has been going on, but they've never come to volunteer to help. They never come to watch the kids. They got kids too. Their excuse is, well, we would come and help the kids, but we got kids. Motherfucker, you got two. We got four. Don't give me that bullshit. You guys work Monday through Friday. You're off on the weekends, asshole. You can come over. You don't have to watch them by themselves. Just come over and hang out, talk to Danielle, have a conversation with her. How you doing, sweetie? So what's been going on with your treatment? And then talk about other shit like normal stuff, normal conversations after you talk about her treatments and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Hang out. You don't have to babysit the kids and we fucking split. But no, they don't want to do that. Why? Because you're fucking selfish. That's why. There's no other explanation. There's no other excuse. You're fucking selfish. And you're a hypocrite. And your fucking lesson plans on your house means bullshit and don't mean anything. Because you don't practice what you preach. It's all the fucking script that they follow. And a lot of people are like that. They hide behind religion or they follow something thinking that they're all great. When you go knocking on their door, asking for help, where are they? Fucking lights are out. That's what. And so I'm like, I ain't got room for tolerance for people like that. I give you two chances. That's it. That's most people, anyways. And so they came, and then Saturday they came. MD Anderson had a boot walk, a fundraiser, which they have a donation. They have all the time people donate. They made like over $1 million Saturday. It's ridiculous. A lot of support here. And so the two girls said, "Hey, we're going to come and sign up in Danielle's honor and donate." So they donate a little bit, but all that does is go to paying the bill. But the bill's already been paid for. We pay our deductible, and the treatment's paid for the rest of the year. Come next year, pay our deductible, done. Everything's 100% paid for the rest of the year. So we don't even see a dime of that. They should have fucking donated, just give it to us, so that way I can do what I need to do for Danielle or the kids or whatever. You're doing it the other way. We don't actually see it. But anyways, so they came to the boot walk for that, and Danielle was hoping when originally it was scheduled that she could be down there on the street, sitting down watching the people go by, because some of the patients can walk outside if you're healthy enough, and but she couldn't at this point, and so both girls came with I'll fucking say their name, Michelle and Talitha. So they're downstairs with their husband, and they each have two kids. One of them might have three. I think they each just have two, and they're like 4, 5, 6, 7, somewhere right in there. And so the two guys stayed downstairs, and the two girls came upstairs. So they walked in, and they walked on through the door, and they opened the door, and they stayed right there. They didn't want to get close to Danielle. Danielle's 12 feet away. She's like, they go, "Hi." I'm like, what kind of bullshit is that? You need fucking, it's your best friend, so to speak. You know, you should hug her, this and that. And me and mom are in here, standing there fine. We're not wearing fucking bio suits or anything. So obviously, you don't have to worry about, getting her sick or anything. And then they're like, well, how are you? And then Danielle, and it's hard for Danielle to speak. So when she does, you know, you don't want her to really repeat herself. So you want to listen. And is it okay? Literally, like 2 minutes later, we just want to see how you're doing. I guess we're gonna go. And I'm like, the fuck? What was the point of even coming up here to begin with? Oh, I know, because you're full of shit. And Danielle, being the, incredible angel she is, she says, I love you guys. And they're like, oh, we love you too. Shut the fuck up. And I could spot bullshit from a mile away, dude. And they said, okay, we're gonna go. And then I said, well, then I said, you can hug her, you can touch her, you can do all that. Oh, we weren't sure because a while back you told us she could have visitors. Motherfucker, that was in February when she was diagnosed, and we had to get medicine in her first, and then that was the first thing to say, tell nobody to come around until everything was set in motion and was good. Don't be hanging off those fucking words. That was months ago. If you were a real fan, you would be knocking on our door, calling, email, texting, hey, can she have visitors now? And obviously, she's been having visitors because it's been posted on Facebook. Her mom, me, my mom, and her dad, and Lucy, stepmom, be coming up here and visiting her. So don't give me that bullshit. That's another full of shit lie of not being a Christian, not being a real friend, and just being a fake ass person. So that just proved to my point what I had already known and suspected this whole time. They're full of shit. And so the only reason they signed up for the boot walk and stuff was because of the guilt trip they felt by Kelsey, you know. And Kelsey said, "Hey, can I put up? Can I feel out, or can I talk to a couple people at the church?" Now remember, she's in Indiana. She says, "Can I call a couple people at the church and see if they can volunteer, for some time to help you with the kids at home, so you can go and work or see Danielle?" And I said, "Sure." So we had a couple ladies volunteer right away, which is very nice. One of them will be there tomorrow, and they were real nice and said, "If you need us next week, we're available this day and this day. We'd be glad." And it just, it gives my heart joy to help you guys out. And I'm like, that's so nice. And total strangers give more compassion and, real helpfulness and, positive mojo than people that she's fucking known for years. And I don't want to be ugly to Danielle about her friends, because it's not my place to tell you who you can't be friends with. But doesn't mean I have to be friend with you. Anyway, so that's that. Um, so that really ticked me off about that whole deal. But her grandma's up there right now. Let's see what some of you guys have text here. Oh, Jim, you are awesome, dude. Um, Guys, on here, Scout Lawn Care, I want you guys to pray for Jim's dad. His father is going through treatment for pancreatic cancer, and that's in rural. I do talk to Jim quite a bit on via text message, and his dad has seemed to be doing okay through the chemo. I hope you don't mind me, Jim. I'm sorry, I should have asked you first, but I figured, hey, a few more prayers, won't hurt, right? And people you talk to, and what's so interesting is talking on these live streams with a lot of you guys that we have um, a lot of things in common, other than just the lawn care business, and it's just pretty amazing. And then also George Myers on here. He's, I believe, up in New York area. Um, his mom had cancer. We were talking today. I'm sorry, not his mom, his wife. I'm sorry. Or did he? George, I'm sorry. I don't remember if you said your wife or your mother that she had cancer a couple times. I'm sorry. I don't remember. You were just telling me on text message today. But I know he said his son currently is dealing with that, but doing pretty good with the chemo treatment. So, you guys, let's send prayers out to George Myers' son too, because every little bit helps, man. I appreciate that, Johnny, Benji Knight. I appreciate that, dude. Some of you guys I used to message a lot back when I had a little bit more time, on the truck when I'm out, working or whatever. And right now, it's like, I still think about you guys, and I'm like, man, I'd like to make a video to see how everybody's doing. But, a lot of times you just don't have time. Like, the time flies by. You're like, where did it go? You know? Um, but I appreciate that, Johnny. Me too. Thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that, brother. What's up, Mark? Mr. Linton Lawn Care. Absolutely, Johnny. You're right. You know, that reminds me, Johnny, when you said that, the doctor at Memorial Hermann, where she was diagnosed, the Dr. Nadeau of infectious disease, she told us, she says, as you guys go through this journey of healing for Danielle, you're going to discover who your real loving family is, loving members, who really truly care, and who your real friends are. And that couldn't be further from the truth. That is absolutely correct. And you certainly find out real quick. No, the faker is not in Indiana. her be- her best friend is in Indiana. The fakers are here. So Kelsey is her best friend, who is doing fantastic by helping, getting together volunteers from our church here that she used to go to help out at the house, and also found the lady who cleans the house that used to clean Kelsey's house here. She now cleans our house. once a week or call her every couple of weeks to come and tidy up a little bit. It's their two friends, Michelle and Talitha, and then their husbands too. Are just it's like, you know what, like although Talitha's husband did send $300 via Zelle, and the note on it said, uh, uh, "Get well, friend," or "Take care, friend," or something like that. So it's like, man, you couldn't even. I don't know, dude. I just maybe I'm old fashioned, a little different when I'm going to help somebody out. Maybe more verbal than nowadays. Everybody wants to fucking, you know, send a text or some shit instead of call. I don't know. You bet, Jim. You got it, George. Absolutely, Jim. Spend as much time. You know, that's a good thing that he lives pretty close to you guys, and and I believe your dad stays at home and then goes to the hospital or the clinic for his treatments and stuff. And gets to go back home, so that's a super plus. You know, one of my customers I haven't even met yet, but she reached out to me on Google reviews last week and wanted to set up for me to come out to clean up her property, take care of the leaves, all these things. And so I said, yes, we can do that, but it won't be till Friday. This is what I got going on. And she says, man, I'm so sorry. And she's got cancer herself currently. I'm like, dude, that is crazy. But what she has, I can't remember what she said she has, is she said that the doctors told her that it's inevitable that you're gonna go. You don't have long to live, so do the best you can. But currently, she still comes in for treatments, and but she's not expecting to live a lot longer. And but she's still working. She still lives at home, and she works for the government. She is a government intelligence. Shit, what is it called? Government intelligence merc, something like that. It's basically someone who is on a computer, watches video, all kinds of surveillance videos everywhere, interviews, airports, bus stations, the streets, and what they look for are people who intend to inflict harm or terrorists or things like that by body language, hand language, facial expressions, just tons of shit to coming and going, whatever it is they're doing. And I said to her, I said, dude, that is like awesome. She says, yeah. And she says, I'm not, she, she says, I told her, I said, man, that's a uh, pretty badass job or something like that. And she says, yeah. She goes, I don't do much, but it's a little scary, because you're in a camera, you're watching all kinds of things everywhere. And she works from her home. So she taps into software somewhere. That's nuts. But anyway, so yeah, she's going through that. And then we talked quite a bit via text message about her treatment, my wife's treatment. And it's just amazing, dude. People can be having the same thing go on. You would never even know. What's up, Tyler? Brandon. Yeah, Brandon, slow down. I don't want you whooping anybody's ass in Indiana that don't need to be dealt with. Oh, I know it. That's so funny. Too many words. Oh, that's hilarious. How you doing, Tyler? Well, you just missed everything I talked about. So instead of me talking about it all over again, you can just play back from the beginning once this live video feed is over. Jim, that's super cool, man. Um, you're probably working tonight. When you go over there, uh, it'd be in the morning. Maybe you take like, I don't know what to eat for breakfast, but who doesn't like breakfast tacos? Sounds pretty good. Well, guys, I better get off here. I've been on here for an hour and a half, and it's quarter to 6, and I know I need to get Grandma home, and she's probably having her pick line done soon. So, guys, I appreciate every one of you um, who are on here, and I appreciate Money Mike, Money Making Mike G. I can't say that fast. Money Making Mike G, and you, Jim, for the donation. You guys are awesome. You didn't have to do that, but I appreciate that. I'm definitely going to let Danielle know that. Everybody else, Brandon, the way I see it, you can't make it. Might be closer, I can help, but might come with a price. So, Illinois in the dares, and did you know? Brandon, you're nuts, bro. Um, I appreciate every one of you guys. Thank you, Thomas. Text me anytime, bro. Um, you guys have a great. Thank you, Jim. You too. You guys have a great rest of the week and weekend, and maybe sometime this weekend, maybe Sunday. If we come home Saturday, I can maybe touch base with you guys Sunday and let you know how she's doing since she's been home. I know she'll be excited to see the kids. So, but I appreciate every one of you guys, the friendship, the messaging, the text messages on here. The support is great. And don't forget to pray for Jim's dad and George's son. So, yes, thank you, Brandon. Do that, brother. You guys take care, and we'll see you soon. Oh, come on.